Servalan gets a message from an old flame who she hasn't seen in a few years on this new planet that is filled with sand. And that is the name of this episode. And the sand is very important because it's alive. Servalan thinks there's something special about this planet, and Avon and his company hear about it, so they better get there first. Turns out it's just sand and it's alive and it wants to eat you. And that is the storyline of this episode. And we're going to review this episode like all the others with my space system. So story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment. Each category gets a score between 0 and 2. 2 is the best. I'm going to give the storyline a 1.5. I was going to give the storyline a 1 because this is one that ultimately can be removed again. And I know that some people don't like season 4 as much, but I'm really loving it. And I know there's a lot of prep work. It's like gathering information, gathering weapons, upgrading your shields or whatever, upgrading your weapon system, getting better equipment, finding energy sources, this kind of a thing. It's not like engaging the Federation. It's more like getting ready to fight them. And we know how that's going to turn out. But this one can be removed and it wouldn't really matter because they don't gain anything out of it. So the storyline is a 1. The reason I'm giving it 1.5 is I actually like some of the little finer details. I do like the idea that the sand is like manipulating things in order to get you to breed. That's kind of interesting. How does that work? I don't know. I can't really give this full score because there's a few things like, does the sand cook the food or is it a replicator? What is it? There's some weirdness to it, right? Like I feel like the sand, like I feel like you should be able to get away from the sand a bit easier. So I can't give it full score for that. And ultimately, this story can be removed and it wouldn't matter, right? It's not really referenced, I don't think. Again, and there's not that many left in the series. So there you go. The pacing suffers a little bit. I'm going to give the pacing a 1, a 1 point. I'm not bored on any episode of Blake 7, but this one is slightly slower because there's not really anything threatening happening at once. The sand is very slow and it just appears. It's like, oh, there's sand, right? And this is almost like a slow burn horror movie where you find out at the end that the sand is like this killer and you've got to get away from it. As opposed to some of the other episodes, like the last one, Games, where there was this back and forth, cat and mouse, one-upping each other, betrayals, it made it a little bit more exciting. This one was slow moving, so I'll give it the 1 point. The artistry, I'm actually going to give it a 2 because the stuff with the sand was pretty cool. It's green, and I like green. There was some decent effects, and there was different locations. Again, it could be a 1.5. I'm going to give it a 2. I thought the look of everything looked pretty cool to me. I like the different areas. I know there's not that many locations, but it did feel like they were on this planet. And I do like when they're walking around and you see the planet, you're like, wow, this looks pretty good, right? It's the best they can do at the time, and I think it does translate well, and it looks good for me. The big thing on this one, of course, is the characters, as always with Blake 7, and that's a 2 out of 2. The characters is my favorite. Out of all my space categories, characters is my number 1 category. If I love the characters, I can sit through a so-so story. I can sit through a, poorly paced adventure. I can take wonky effects, right? Characters is the one thing that I can never compromise on. If I don't like the characters, there's not much hope for me really enjoying a movie, unless it's something like 2001: A Space Odyssey, where the characters don't matter because it's an epic of human evolution and with, all of these like kind of hidden meaning messages and stuff like that, right? It's not a character study, right? And you're not really asked to follow, Poole and Bowman or whatever and be like, oh my God, what are they up to? Actually, Hal's the best character. Yeah, I like him. Anyways, but here, Servalan and Tarrant have a great few scenes together where they're trapped and they realize that, yeah, we're screwed. We're trapped here. And we got to make the best of it. Really great. Jacqueline Pierce is awesome in this one. She's always been awesome. Great stuff at the end, scene at the end, because it comes with the question whether she actually loved the guy that she was going to visit or was it just fake. Tarrant thinks it was just fake, but then she actually kind of did love him and she cries a little bit. It was really nice. That was really a nice touch. I love when Tarrant comes back and he's like, yeah, Servalan was there and, I didn't kill her. And Dana's like pissed, which of course, Dana's been consistently good. She's definitely in my top, well, I don't know. there is only like 8 or 9 characters if you add up all the characters. Maybe I'm gonna do maybe I'll do a ranking video. I'm gonna do a ranking video. Let me think about that. So yeah, I love the character stuff here. The enjoyment factor, because the character stuff was so good, I'm gonna give it a 1.5 enjoyment factor. That might be slightly high. But I personally thought it was a pretty good episode, and I like season 4. Well, I love all of Blake 7. I love season 4. So this is getting an 8 out of 10. It's probably more like a 7 out of 10, but because of the strong character stuff, which also brought up the enjoyment factor for me, we're at an 8 out of 10. I think it's pretty fair. I really love all these episodes. I love Blake 7. It's my 3rd favorite show of all time. It's very easy to rewatch because it's not that long. So great. I love it. Sand, pretty good. So there you go. If you like this video, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, check out the classic TV playlist. Prisoner's coming up. And I think after Prisoner, I might do Battlestar. So we'll see how it goes. But that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching. Until next time.